What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Deicide, entitled Overtures of Blasphemy. This is released on Century Media Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Tampa, Florida, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very traditional, aggressive, blasphemous style of death metal. Yeah. It is without a doubt to say that Deicide are one of the most famous, synonymous, legendary, infamous bands to come out of Florida death metal and just extreme music in general. To me, this is a band that is very, very vital and crucial and important to death metal's legacy and history. Of course, when I think of Deicide, many things come to mind. Definitely the band that predated Deicide with Amon and their demos that they put out, those amazing, amazing demos that they put out, and then the full-length material, most notably their first 4 full-length albums, the self-titled, Legion, which I consider to be one of the greatest of all time, and that's something I talk about on a regular basis with my good friend Brady Spencer. We always talk about how much we love Legion together. Once Upon the Cross, which is another fantastic album, and Serpents of the Light. I know Serpents of the Light gets a little bit of a mixed reaction, but I fucking love that record. I don't care what anybody says. I love the first 4 Deicide albums. Those albums definitely represent what Deicide were all about. Fast, pissed off, satanic aggression. That's what all of those Deicide records meant to me. But ever since that album, that Serpents of the Light record, I believe Deicide have gone on a little bit of a topsy-turvy sort of trip when it comes to their musical output and overall quality. Some are hits, some are miss, but Deicide have stayed trucking forward, putting out music and playing live shows and just staying active. Out of everything Deicide's put out in the last 20 plus years or so, I think there's been a couple of good, decent gems to be heard with albums like The Stench of Redemption, which is probably my favorite album of their Earache era and one of my favorite post-Hoffman releases. Of course, you go back to Scars of the Crucifix. That album was solid in its own right. And then you have what would be the current generation of Deicide with their previous 2 full-lengths, 2011's To Hell with God, and the last time we had heard something from them, In the Minds of Evil in 2013. Pretty much Deicide doing what Deicide knew how to do, create very, very simplistic sort of death metal, but you have a good time listening to it, and I still think those latter 2 Deicide records are solid in their own respective ways. It obviously isn't Legion or Once Upon the Cross, but I still think Deicide are doing some very tremendous things. But it's been 5 years since we had heard anything from Deicide, and this is definitely, I would say, the longest time gap in between full-lengths coming out, because normally Deicide would have albums pumped out within a year or 2 or 3, but this is a very long time gap. And when I found out that there was going to be a new Deicide album, my ears were at attention. I was very curious to see what was going to happen. They posted that really, really elaborate and beautiful album cover art. I can't pronounce that dude's name worth a shit, but that album cover was beautiful. Seeing that trifixion in the middle was something very special. It gave me some sort of ideas and thoughts as to what this album was going to be about. And then we heard a song from them called Excommunicated. It was a short song, but it embodied everything about what Deicide was about and pretty much kept up in their current, more contemporary production sort of style. I was impressed with that song, but I wanted to hear what the rest was all about. And now here we are with their 12th full-length album entitled Overtures of Blasphemy, and I believe this is the 3rd full-length to feature Jason Sukoff behind the boards producing the record. It's 12 tracks, and it clocks in at around 38 minutes in length, and I've given this album multiple listens, and I would honestly have to say that this album is probably the best thing that this band has done in their current generation. I definitely think this blows their last 2 out of the water, and I would definitely say this blows away anything that they've put out in Earache or anything prior to post-Serpents of the Light. I think this Deicide album this is probably one of their most alive, their most energetic, their most inspired record to date, and pretty much this is definitely something that could win back a Deicide fan. I'm still a Deicide fan today, but this album definitely makes me appreciate what they have done and are doing a lot more. Pretty much, if you know what a Deicide album sounds like, you're gonna feel right at home with how things get settled in here. This guitar playing sounds so wonderful. I love these guitar riffs. I mean, like I mentioned with the current guitar players that they have with this band are definitely making that much of a difference. Kevin Quirion, I loved his work in Order of Ennead, and his work in Deicide has been nothing short of solid and entertaining. His guitar playing on here sounds phenomenal, as does their newest guitar player, Mark English, whom you may know for his current day work with Monstrosity. Monstrosity put out a new full-length album this year, by the way, too, which is a fun listen, but he's in Deicide as well, and I think that their guitar playing showcases a lot of great talent and a lot of creativity, a lot of awesome melodies, a lot of awesome chuggy sort of riffs, a lot of great and wild dueling solos. Sound really awesome. I love that a lot about these guitar performances. Songs like One with Satan, Seal the Tomb Below, All That Is Evil, Defying the Sacred. You get great examples of what these guitar riffs are all about, and it's definitely something very entertaining throughout the majority of this record. Bass guitar wise, I definitely think it's a good smooth bass sort of tone here. I definitely think this Jason Sukoff production definitely brings out the best in the bottom end of this record. Very good, well played sort of stuff here. This album really is more along the lines of the guitar riffs, and I definitely think that this bass tone definitely suits what the guitar playing is all about and is played very well here. When it comes to the drums, Steve Ashheim, I don't know how he does it, and the fact that this band is about to enter its third decade in existence, Steve Ashheim is an absolute maniac, and I definitely think this is one of his more inspired and more entertaining drum performances here. This guy is unrelenting. He never lets up. He never takes a break. I definitely don't know how he does it, but it's very heavy and filled with blast beats, fills, cymbal crashing, just a lot of great momentum flowing for this drum performance. When it's fast, it's fast. When it's mid-paced to slow, he definitely takes his time and puts in a really solid drum performance here, especially since a lot of these songs are very short and not going longer than 3.5 minutes. I really like the pace of this Deicide record, and his drum performance really shines in spades here with going back to Crawl for the Shadows, Compliments of Christ, Crucified Soul of Salvation, just some seriously top-notch drum work going on here. It's a very modernized, cleanly sort of drum performance here, but I think Steve Ashheim's drum work sounds wonderful here. And when it comes to the vocals, it's the typical sort of Glenn Benton sort of growl here this time around, but I'm noticing in comparison to previous Deicide full-lengths that there's more of an emphasis on Glenn's lower register sort of growls. You can definitely understand what he's saying and how he's delivering it. He has that really ugly, garish sort of growl in his voice, but I definitely think he makes it worthwhile and entertaining here. I would have loved to have heard a little bit more of his highs, because he definitely has a knack for doing really great highs and guttural lows, but this is, for what it's worth, I think it's very solid, his vocal performance here. It's pretty much what you would expect out of a Deicide vocal performance. A lot of hatred, a lot of blasphemy, a lot of over-the-top sort of spiels going on here, but I think Glenn Benton makes it work, and this is a very fun vocal performance. So overall, like I said, I think this is probably the best Deicide album of the current generation. Do I think it's the best Deicide album ever? Of course not. Legion is still at my heart and will never leave, but as far as Deicide today goes, this is easily one of their best works, probably one of their best produced, one of their best executed, musically, storytelling-wise. This is a very fun Deicide record, and really you shouldn't look into it any further than that. This is a fun listen, and if you're a Deicide fan, you're going to have a great time listening to this, and I would definitely recommend anybody who may have written Deicide off in the past to give this new full length a try, because I think you'll find something a little more entertaining here than in anything they've previously done within the last 15 or 20 years or so. So, if I had to think of any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Crawl for the Shadows, Seal the Tomb Below, Anointed in Blood, Crucified, Soul of Salvation, Defying the Sacred is another great track, and Flesh, Power, Dominion. Really top quality stuff here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you some links to some music videos that have currently been streaming on YouTube for this album. I believe Excommunicated, Seal the Tomb Below, and I believe there is a music video for Defying the Sacred, which is fucking entertaining as hell. I'll leave you a link to all of those. Plus, I will leave you a link to where you can purchase a physical CD. To the best of my knowledge, the CD is still readily available. Vinyl is sold out. It is available digitally to stream right now through all of the major platforms: iTunes, Google Play, Apple, Spotify, whatever. Physical copies are set to be released this coming Friday, the 21st. Definitely keep an eye out for your retailer, your store, independent record store, whatever you want to do it, if you want to get a physical copy. So, again, the album is Overtures of Blasphemy by Deicide. This is released on Century Media Records. Go check this one out. And for a score, I'm going to give this a very strong 8.5 out of 10. Very entertaining death metal album from one of Florida's legendary pioneering bands. This is probably their most inspired work to date. Doesn't beat the classics, but I'll take this over anything else they've done in recent years. So, if you happen to have heard this album, definitely let me know what you think about it, how you feel about it, and how you think it compares to previous Deicide releases, or any of you guys into Deicide. Definitely let me know. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until next time, Army out.